back to the channel. I started thinking about this a while back. I want to start doing a yearly recap of how things have been for me as a creator across client work and personal projects. I've been going through my notes and archives trying to piece together what I was doing month by month. Because sometimes you end the year and be like, I didn't achieve anything this year. But then you look back and you're surprised of how much you actually did. I believe it's a great practice for any creative to see where you were at the beginning of the year and how you progress and how you stay goal-oriented and driven to what you want to achieve. I will also be doing a small analytic breakdown of how my social platforms have performed, specifically Instagram and YouTube. So stay tuned if you're into this kind of behind the scenes, numbers, nitty-gritty stuff. And if you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Max. I'm a freelance videographer who also happens to love good coffee, clothes, and video games. Alright, so the main theme of this year was really that I started out being employed first at a creative agency and then pivoted to being self-employed as a freelancer. That's something I wanted to do for a really long time but never felt ready for. I started freelancing back in 2020 and kept at it while being in uni and later at the agency. But only on the side though whenever I had the time and capacity for it. So at the start of 2025 I felt kind of creatively burned out because I didn't really have the chance to work on a lot of my own personal projects or creative client projects that were diverse and also creatively fulfilled me. That's why later in the year I decided to bet on myself and take the step into full-time freelancing to work more on these kinds of projects. But how was the transition to that? So in January, while I was still working at the agency, I worked on two bigger projects that required a bit of travel. One was a campaign for IQs in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, and the other one was in Munich here in Germany for an event by Roborock. On both projects, I was part of a team of videographers. It was definitely a cool experience being a cog in a bigger production and working on an event where you had a very strict timeline to stick to. We had to run around a lot and make sure to have enough coverage. The super delicious food afterwards was definitely a bonus as well. Besides that, I worked on some content for Xiaomi short-form channels that involved planning, filming, and editing those videos. And in terms of freelancing projects, I've worked with this photographer Liam, better known as 7th Era, to edit a vlog for him. I hadn't edited a vlog in a while, so that was pretty fun. Besides that, in this month and the following month, I've collaborated with a longtime client of mine, Xtex, who are a playing card company based in the US. They've actually supported my bachelor's documentary film a few years back, which wouldn't have been possible otherwise. I'll leave the link to that below if you want to check it out. For them, I've mainly been doing some graphic design and strategy work. Early in the year, that meant adjusting layouts for playing cards. And over a few months, I've helped them build a new brand that they're currently working on. As always, it's really nice working with the team and dive back into more graphic design related work, because it's actually what I focused on when I started working on creative projects. Then in March, I had my first brand integration on my YouTube channel. Behance reached out to have me review their product, which is basically a plugin to emulate different film looks across various software. Two friends of mine helped me get some shots of me, which I could then use for the intro. And creatively speaking, that ended up being one of my highlights of the year. It was such a breath of fresh air and felt really satisfying bringing the vision to life. Starting into Q2 of the year became a really good experience for me because I worked on two projects with creator Megan Tan. The first one was editing a color grading tutorial for her on how to achieve the Ghibli look. And the second was being on set for a sponsored post with the watch brand Swatch. Together with our lighting guy Finn, we brought her vision to life and shot inside an indoor pool. The challenge was that the weather outside was already super warm and inside the pool, which was actually used to teach babies how to swim, was even hotter and we weren't allowed to open any window. But honestly, that shoot ended up being one of my favorites of 2025. I got to use the gimbal above the water and even shot inside the water using a special camera casing. A first for all of us. It came out really well and the brand liked it. The rest of the month were a bit quieter. I worked on some projects with Xtex again and was mainly playing some of my own short form and long form content for the upcoming month. So July was actually when I had 0 client projects and was wrapping up my work at the agency. Yeah, and then came August. Man, this was one of the most nerve-wracking and exciting moments of the year for me. My first month relying entirely on client work. And let me tell you, I started August with no client works in the pipeline. I didn't really know exactly how I wanted to make it work, but I knew I would, and well, I had to. I wasn't completely unprepared though. The basics of freelancing I had learned over the last few years definitely came in handy. So for the first month, I focused on 3 main things. Updating my website/portfolio to showcase my latest work that I was allowed to show and I was proud of, taking some time off to refill my spark and work on more personal projects, which was much needed, and reaching out to brands, creators, and agencies to introduce myself as a freelancer and offer my services. Let's break that down. Updating my website, I turned into a YouTube video because I thought, hey, I want to try out making some more content of different kinds anyways. I had just purchased the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and used it to document the process of rebuilding my website, which I then turned into my first kind of vlog. For personal projects, I've created 2 very personal YouTube videos. How to enjoy hard things again, and the real reason why we haven't posted yet and how to fix it. These weren't optimized for performance, but were more of a reminder for my past self and anyone feeling burned out, overstimulated, or creatively stuck, which I was definitely early in the year. I also challenged myself to post more consecutively on Instagram. I think I actually achieved to post 16 times in a row. It was a super interesting exercise to figure out what kind of content I like and how to streamline my process. Proactively reaching out to people also paid off and helped me get work in the following month. I'm really grateful for that. Even though I started August with no work, I wrapped up the month without falling into the negative. My very first full-time freelancing project came through a referral from a DP friend. I covered a hip-hop dance workshop in Cologne. Met Stefanina, who's a choreographer for major music stars like Chris Brown, Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne and Jason Derulo, was leading the workshop. I shot and edited the content piece for that, which was really fun. In general, the work in the following month picked up a lot. I had the opportunity to work on some really cool projects that demanded a lot from me though, time-wise and creatively speaking, but forced me to get better at what I do. One highlight was working on social content for creator Chloe Shi. I edited Chloe's How I Hit 1 Million Followers YouTube video and continued working with her on social media reels over the following month. Being brought onto that team was a real encouragement. It reminded me that I'm capable of being a social media editor. I think any creative sometimes worries about their actual craft. So a bit of humility is great to keep you grounded and eager to learn. But when it comes to pitching yourself and making a living from your work, a healthy balance of trust in yourself and your abilities is definitely necessary. Then, for the final stretch of the quarter, I worked with a Berlin-based agency on some really dope projects. With them, I did edits for Adidas, created social reels for the metal festival Wacken Open Air, covered a baseball game, and edited a vlog for one of their players. It was an amazing experience working with the full team behind these projects, and I can't wait to collaborate more with them in the upcoming year. On the social side, I also had a chance to edit multiple Instagram reels for graphic design creator Edward Sun. This has become an ongoing thing where I help him turn educational content and case studies into digestible short-form videos. It has been really inspiring to see how he packages his design stories for social media. Another project I was really excited about was working together with my friend Angel, who runs the clothing brand God is a Designer. He shot trailers for his new collection and asked me to create social reels from them. His clothes and design style are really dope, so you should definitely check out his store. In between, I also had the chance to help our photographer Niels Feidel by editing some photos for him while he was taking them at an event in Cologne. Since I'm a big fan of his photography work and style, it was a real pleasure to collaborate with him on that. Even more so when he later asked me to edit some social reels for Mazda Europe that he filmed. I thought the year was winding down smoothly and calmly, but then the last few weeks leading into 2026, I got asked to help edit a podcast that Chloe runs with her co-host Eric Way. So working on that required a fairly tight turnaround while keeping a nuanced, multicam edit workflow in mind. It was definitely challenging at first, but also really fun. Speaking of podcasts, throughout 2025, I also started my own personal passion project. That's a mouthful. Running my own video podcast, chatting with creative friends or people I'd like to get to know better. That was a super fun experience, though it did require a lot of pre-production, production, and post-production time. Since it's not monetized, the return on time invested is a bit tricky, but also very fulfilling. Especially the episodes I got to record in person toward the end of the year. For client projects, excluding agency work, which took a big chunk of my time until the end of July, I worked on 36 client projects in total. As you can see, the number of projects increased towards the end of the year. Some of these included retainers or more complex deliverables with multiple assets, but most were primarily editing and shooting gigs with occasional design tasks. Looking at my social growth, even though my follower count didn't explode, there was a slow but steady progress. In 2025, I published 10 long-form videos. 5 were podcast episodes and 5 were other formats. For YouTube Shorts, I published 14 videos. Overall, my subscriber count grew from 589 followers at the beginning of the year to around 739 at the end. So a total increase of 150. Not huge, and views for both long and short form videos averaged from a few hundred to a few thousand, with mostly positive feedback. Volume is definitely something I want to increase this year, but I feel like experimentation is important first. You can't really know what you enjoy making and what resonates if you don't try out a bunch of stuff first. On Instagram, I posted 38 reels and a few photos. Most of them averaged a few hundred to a few thousand views as well, growing my follower count from roughly 550 to 700. Also a plus 150 increase. On that note, I appreciate everybody who follows and interacts with my posts. Looking back, I can definitely see myself improving over the month when it comes to content, which was something I struggled on early as a creative, trying to consistently create for myself. This year, I definitely grew a ton as a creative and learned a few things that reassured me I'm on the right track. One of the biggest lessons was that enjoying the creative process is more important than chasing perfection. Metrics can reflect growth, but personal fulfillment is key. Another one is that there's no better method to work and sell yourself than just being a friendly, professional person who tries to be as competent as possible. So much can come from that. Looking back at early 2025, I was stressed and uncertain, even questioning if video creation was something I truly enjoyed. This year, I prioritized my mental health a bit more, reducing how much outside expectations bothered me, and focused on projects that I genuinely enjoy, both creatively and professionally. I definitely took to heart a sentence I heard somewhere: life doesn't come at you, it comes from you. I tried really hard this year to be proactive in seeking opportunities, which led to so much, even if it sometimes meant working up until 8 a.m. Time differences depending on where you and your client are no joke. Lock-in periods versus downtime is important though. My take is that you can't really separate work and life entirely. Ideally, you combine both in a balanced way. Being a freelancer often means being reachable during downtime and thinking about projects when you're not actively working. But it also means understanding when to take a break and managing projects and client expectations properly, so you don't burn out and keep the fun in what you do. So how can 2026 look like? I spent some time of the last weeks aligning myself with what I want to focus on in the upcoming year. I have some bigger graphic design projects coming up that I'm extremely excited about, but also some more social content. This time also likely with long form content again. Personally, I'd love to spend more time figuring out my own social media content strategy, building that out, and creating YouTube videos more frequently. For client projects, I'm trying to take on fewer ones, but they're for bigger projects, because I feel like they're easier to manage and stay on top of than like multiple lower paying gigs. Nonetheless, I'm super grateful for every project that came my way this year and I had a chance to work on. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. As always, if you like this color grade, my fonts, or any presets, they're all available in my store. The link is down below in the description. It's a huge help to the channel and I really appreciate it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave the word hourglass in the comments so I know you're a real one. Thanks again for watching until the very end. I will see you guys in the next one.